Hey, what's up, everybody? Another last second on, late Monday night. I'm recording this one. It's been a rough weekend, but thanks everybody for enjoying and watching the last Kirblog about kid stuff and everything, or quote-unquote kid stuff. Joined by Shady again. Hi, Shady.
Hello.
Thanks for coming. So we were working on a bunch of sound design stuff for new.
Well, I was
today. Well, Shady was, and I was babysitting Shady while animating.
Babysitting me.
Yeah, and decided to. I had to do a Kirblog today, and I thought, why not have Shady on board this one? And was going over some topics that might be good for both of us to talk about. And I got this one from, and I am so sorry, I'm going to probably pronounce your name wrong, Faibo Lodeno. I am so sorry for butchering your name. So this one's kind of long, but it was surmised to. So his question is about how every time he tries something new, he becomes bored easily, and he finds that it's not the passion that he's searching for, and he's trying to figure out exactly, what it is that is his passion in life, and what to focus his work on. In reference to my passion being animation and everything, and his question was about. The solution to finding what it is that you fully put your passion into, and what it is that you want to make your life and your career about. So Shady, you and I, we've dabbled in a whole lot of different types of things.
Right.
I myself, I've done, I've done right. I mean, I do a lot of it still, even to this point, that I focus on a lot of stuff. But I do writing, I do drawing, I do animation, I do. Voiceover, I do sound stuff, I do a lot of different things.
You do directing?
I do directing and casting, even more than that, honestly. But and then you yourself, I mean, you've been all over the world. List off all of your stuff that you've done.
Yeah,
even how long I've known you.
Yeah, I've done radio, I've done writing, I've done sound design, music, voiceover, casting, composing, recreating compositions. But I think you've got a bigger tally on your list than what I do. If there's anything I'm missing, I can't quite remember. But yeah.
I'm sure I'm missing some stuff too. I've experimented in like comics and other little minor things like that. I mean, I've been researching more stuff about game design and things like that. But I think and this is part of the reason why I thought this would be a good topic for you and I to talk about. Is it fair for me to say, in your case, that your main passion is music, like in general? Is that probably the right thing?
It's an interesting thing to bring up. At this time, I think I'm inclined to agree with you 100%. If I can speak 100%, I don't know why I gained an accent for whatever reason. 100%. That music is definitely my top priority. But if you were to ask me this question like 2 years ago, I would say voiceover. And it's strange because it's kind of shifted. I used to pursue voiceover very much more seriously than what I do now. Occasionally, I'll get a voiceover gig once, maybe every 2 weeks, and that's without me looking. Back 2 years ago, I was looking for work, actively pursuing it, and wasn't really getting much for voiceover. But with music now, it's definitely what I would consider my forte.
Mm-hmm. And for myself, I mean, I guess the core of what it is that I'm passionate about is, I think I'll get to that later. But the primary thing that I do is animation related. Kind of all the different individual things that, involve that in terms of, I've done a little bit of everything in terms of like storyboarding and groundwork animation and like animatics and just every single bit and piece that goes into making an animated film or a movie or an episode of a show or whatever, especially with Tome, where I have to, wear a lot of hats, at once.
Right.
But I think, kind of getting to the source of it, and I think that it is important, for a well-rounded human being to try a lot of different things, to try a lot of new things, and really experiment around. And I think that you do kind of have to have that journey of finding what is it that I really care about most, what is it that I really want to spend all of my time doing. And I think what something that we're really lucky to have in this day and age with how many creative options we have is that we have the ability to do a lot of different things, all encompassed under one sort of umbrella. In your case, music doesn't entail just playing an instrument or whatever, or singing or something. It involves, you know, every aspect of like producing an entire album.
Right.
You know, and same thing with me, where it's like, you know, making a show like Tome, like I'm you know, an animation artist, but I'm doing all these things that are involved with it. What is it specifically about? I mean, like, you started Scratch 21, what, a year ago now, I think?
I started writing when I was 21, thus the name Scratch 21. It was the end of December of it was the beginning of December 2013, because my birthday's on the 5th of December. But no, you didn't actually get a chance to finish your question. What were you going to say?
Oh, well, just, you know, like, what is it that kind of led you to this, you know, current state of like, okay, this is what it is that like I've honed in on, you know, after all the different things that I've experimented in terms of like, you know, like the sound related stuff in general, you know, after doing a lot of voiceover stuff and sound effects and things. What is it that led to music being like the number one thing that you want to focus on more than anything now?
It's an interesting question, and I'm not exactly able to give an answer because I'm not entirely sure how I got to this position myself. I originally started doing radio when I was about 13. It was online radio. And then my interests of like what I wanted to pursue with work and hobbies and stuff like that kind of branched from itself. Like, I started doing radio, then I got into voiceover, which is a kind of, you know, it's a very direct branch from doing voiceover on radio to voiceover for animations or cartoons. And then I got into sound design, which is basically taking my recordings that I was doing for voiceover and making them sound as clean as I could and taking out all the bad frequencies and yada yada yada. And then that led into sound design, where it wasn't a case of where I'm just, I'm mastering voices now. It's a case of I'm doing sound effects and I'm doing leveling and I'm doing effects and I'm making it sound like you're in the environment. And then that branched further into singing, where I was doing that, but it was with notation. I was still doing vocals, like vocal effects and, you know, cleaning it up, but it was with singing and it was with pitch. And then that went with music. And I'm not exactly too sure. Like, I can't pinpoint and tell you I have a definite passion for this area of work, but something about sound and music and singing, it's everything that I've been sort of dabbing in over the past 7-8 years, collectively combined into one project where I have entire control over a composition, the singing, the lyrics, the writing, the effects, and everything. And it's a one-man show as well, so I have like say over everything in that project, and I get to express with what I want. So I can sing how I want, I can write how I want, I can basically, I have the freedom to express myself how I want in a product and project that it delivers in how I see it to be, which is something like I've been sort of training myself to express through all the years of like radio and singing and composing and stuff like that. I guess is the best way I can sort of put it down if I'm putting it out.
I think that definitely makes sense, and I think that also perfectly ties into what it is for me too. Because I was going to say, I mean, just about all the Scratch 21 songs that you've made, you know, have been very self-expressive. That's a really good description, because they've, you know, been in reference to, you know, particular like parts of your life or aspects of your life and different things that you've done and experienced, and they're put into a composition form with full lyrics and you perform all the instruments. And of course, I mean, you've had, you know, people help you and people on board like Eileen, of course,
yes,
who's you know, provided guest vocals and things like that. And which is, you know, fantastic. By the way, if you guys, just a little plug, if you guys haven't seen Scratch 21, I'll have a link in the annotation here, like in the description, if you want to go check out Shady's music, because it's really quite fantastic.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you.
Well, I slipped him $20. He slips me $20.
He still owes me.
I already fucked up that joke. Good. Anyway, for me, to kind of tie it in is, you know, the core. This is what I was going to say earlier. The core of what it is that I do with everything that I've done since, you know, years and years and years ago, is I'm a storyteller. And it is also in a similar way to, you know, what it is with your music, is that it's all self-expression. I mean, you know, anybody who knows me personally, and I'm sure I've talked about this in a lot of like behind the scenes stuff on Tome and things like that, is that just about all my characters are based on or inspired by, in some way, by the people that I'm friends with and that I know. Especially now that I've become friends with a lot of actors, you know, there's always like a piece of them. I mean, like, you know, Shady, a lot of you has kind of, you know, become infused with, you know, Alpha's character, just as like Martin has become infused with Nylock, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And you know, the characters in all my stories are all in tribute to the people that make an impact on me and who are important to me, you know, throughout my life. And, you know, telling a story with those characters that are representations of those people is my way of expressing my gratitude and expressing my own feelings and a lot of the things that I go through, you know, and a lot of the darker parts of my life and the good parts of my life. You know, I mean, Tome is like, you know, absolutely, like a lot of the stuff that happens with Kerbifer and Zeto in particular is, you know, it's very personal. And I think people can probably tell that it's not, you know, super, you know, unobvious or anything. But I think that's kind of, if anything, I think that's kind of the answer to the question that's being asked here is like, you know, what is it that you have to do to find it? I think that really what it is you have to find something that allows you to feel a sense of self-expression. The fact of the matter is that not everybody is given the chance to do that because, you know, the truth of the matter is a lot of people are kind of stuck with, you know, normal jobs and kind of normal lives. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, of course. I mean, you know, if you got to, especially if you got a family to feed and you know, you got to work a 9-to-5 desk job or something like that, it's like, you know, it's a way of life for some people, and that's totally fine. You know, if anything, it means, I mean, we're extremely privileged people to be able to, you know, make a living off of something that is a self-expression, something that is creative and very personally meaningful for us. And I like to think that we don't take that for granted too much. Yeah, that would be my advice as far as like answering the question directly goes, is I think pursuing something, I mean, you know, the passion, pursuing what could be your passion, it has to be something that you connect with personally, that it has a sense of self-expression, you know, because like, okay, you know what? In fact, Shady, I think you might. I'm going to ask you something because I think you might have an answer that, or maybe not. Maybe I'll be wrong.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people associated you with voice acting because that was what you focused on a lot.
Right.
But is it safe for me to wager that the feeling that you get from doing music, you know, like anything voiceover or like, you know, acting related, like pales in comparison to the feeling you get from, you know, producing a piece of, you know, like a song for Scratch 21 that you did 100% on your own.
Absolutely.
Like, it's not even comparable.
It's
right?
It's not even there. Like, I enjoy both. I enjoy both performing voiceover, being a character, reading from a script, giving a performance, seeing it go up on a game or a YouTube video or whatever. I love doing that. I have no qualm with doing that. I will happily do that until I am no longer able to do so. Maybe I scream my voice out for alpha again and I can't talk anymore. But for me to take in music, it's completely different, and it doesn't even compare to the feeling of just how much I enjoy doing it, especially when it's a project that I'm writing completely from the ground up, and I don't have anybody telling me, okay, so you're going to say this, and you're going to say it in this way. It's basically my expression to the world in my own words and in my own way. And to be able to do that it's a really great experience for me, just because it's so much more personal and it's so much more of me that's getting out there. Like, I can be a character, sure, I can be Alpha, I can be whoever you want me to be, but for me to express my own being rather than being someone else through a medium that I am absolutely in love with is just a huge rewarding feeling once it's all done and it's all out there.
You could be whoever I want you to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
Can you be a sexy lady?
I already am.
Can you be a lady?
Please don't. Please don't. Curb introduced me to Kids Bop today, and I don't like it.
I didn't introduce you to Kids Bop. You found that on your own.
Yeah, but you told me what it was.
With it. Christ. I'm sorry for providing you information anyway.
It's really bad.
It is. Yeah, no, I completely understand that, because on a similar note, for me, and I think I've also said this on some of my voiceover-related Kirblogs in the past year or so. A lot of my friends will often, when I'm talking, your ear off about, voiceover trivia bullcrap, a lot of my friends will be like, Chris, are you sure you don't want to just be a voice actor and focus on that? In fact, I actually had, I think I mentioned this before too, so some friends of mine mentioned that they thought that the thing I was best at of the things that I choose to do was being a voice actor. And there's been a lot of suggestions to me of like, hey, maybe you should focus on making that into your career. And I also love voiceover. I love performance. I love working with other actors, which is also why I love casting and directing stuff as well. But similar to what you were saying about your music, and that is exactly what I thought. There is just no comparison to the feeling that I have of, say, when I finish an episode of Tome, a full 20-something minute long episode, which of course we're in the process of doing that right now, and stepping back and seeing this giant project, this giant story that I got to tell that came directly from my fucking heart and soul, and especially nowadays when I get to work with a crew of people like yourself and Jordan and Fooley and Liz and Mac and everybody, and everybody who's ever helped on the crew of that show, and even before that with the Nintendo collabs and everything, it feels like incredible. There is absolutely nothing in my life that even is comparable to the sensation I get from I made this. This is my story. This is my thing.
Right.
This is so tied to like my. I know that sounds super cheesy, but it's tied to my soul.
No. Like I can completely empathize. Like it's a great thing when a director or a producer will contact me and say, "Hey, that thing you voiced for is out. Here's the video," and I'll go, "Oh, cool, neat," and I'll check it out, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember doing that recording. It's cool to see it in there." But when, like for the Scratch 21, for example, when that product is all me. And then I see people like leaving comments and, supporting and buying the music. It's just I can't possibly describe the feeling, but it's so fulfilling to see that something that is from me is being enjoyed by others. And if I could do this full time for the rest of my life, I would be very, very happy with doing that.
It's passion.
It is. It definitely is.
That's the simple, black and white way of describing it is it's passion. That is it. That is the the core point of where this question came from, I think. So
absolutely.
Fibo, I hope that answered it somewhat. Those are definitely our answers, but what I will say, and this just apply to you, but to everybody who's listening to this, that path and that answer is going to be different for every single person,
Yeah.
It is, and it'll probably be more difficult for others. That's why I say we're very privileged. I think that we had a pretty good idea of what it is that we, again, the core of what it is that we wanted to do pretty early on, and we really pursued it.
Right.
But it's also never too late for anybody. You can always, you can always find it somewhere. Even if it takes a little while and it takes some more fine tuning and and searching. Don't ever feel like it's a waste of time. And nothing is a waste of time. Everything is an experience. Everything is a step to take in that journey. Everything is sometimes even a stepping stone to something bigger and better and greater and new, and that's what it comes down to.
Right.
So
I was actually about to say, adding on to that, don't get discouraged if you have an idea or something and you say, I really, really want to do writing, and then you pursue it, and then you're like, I am not feeling it anymore. Don't get discouraged about that kind of thing, because it's not like you have one mindset of going, my passion is this, I'm going to try it, and then it doesn't work out, and you're like, oh, I guess that wasn't my passion. You will find it. It happens sooner or later for other people. Like, for example, there are actors, well-known actors now, that didn't start acting until they were in their 50s, and now they're world-known. So do have patience, but don't stop trying.
Excellent. Well, Shady, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
This is a really good one to have you on board with, for sure. And that's going to wrap us up, everybody. So hopefully this helped. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you have any other additional things to add to this advice, or if you have any other maybe kind of sub-questions to this, maybe I'll respond in the comments if I have the ability to, or time or anything. If you have suggestions for future Kirblog topics, leave a comment about that too, or hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, whatever you feel like. Thank you so much for listening.
Can I just plug one quick thing?
Oh, yes, please go for it.
As an example of a passion project, if anybody gets the opportunity, please check out my song called The Rhyme, which is a story about my personal experience of bullying when I was in school. It's the best example I can give you about a passion project derived entirely from me. And I think it would be a great not enlightenment, but a great insight to how my creative process and how I feel how rewarding it is.
Awesome. I'll have a link to that here. You can check that out, and you can probably pick up a copy of it
Thank you.
well. And go check out Shady's music. And that's going to wrap us up. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.